Yo, what's up? Welcome back to DevPhase. In this video, we're going to be talking about a powerful data collection in Python, the tuple. So let's get started. So a tuple is a collection that is ordered, and unlike the list that we talked about earlier, is unchangeable. And to create a tuple in Python, we use the round brackets. So keeping up with the fruit trend that we created earlier, let's say fruits equals round brackets apple and banana and cherry. And let's print out this tuple. Let's save it. Let's run the code. We get apple, banana, and cherry. So we can access an element in the tuple just like we did with the list. We use the brackets and what element you want to receive. So we want banana. So let's just say we put 1 here. Save it. Run the code, and you get banana. And just like previously, we can use a range. So let's add a couple more. Let's say melon and blueberry. And let's say we want from 2 to 5 exclusive. So it's going to get us from 2, 3, and 4. Let's save that. Let's run the code. We get cherry, melon, and blueberry because it's 0, 1, 2. Then it's 3, 4. Then 5 doesn't exist, so it just stops at the 4. We can also go backwards. So let's say if we just wanted blueberry, instead of saying 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we can just do -1. Let's save it and run the code, and we get blueberry here. So since we know how to create a tuple, how do we change an element inside that tuple? Well, like we stated before, tuples are unchangeable, so you can't change a specific element. But there is a workaround. So if we just delete this line here, I say new fruits equals, we're going to convert the tuple to a list fruits, and then we're going to change the element. So let's say we want to change banana to, let's say, wild berry. If we say new fruits 0, 1 equals wild berries, and now we have to convert it back into a tuple. So if we say fruits equals tuple new fruits, if we save that, let's print out fruit. Let's print fruits, save that, and run the code. We get apple, wild berries because we changed it from the banana, cherry, melon, and blueberry. So in a tuple, you can loop through it with a for loop, and we're going to talk about the for loop in more detail in a later video. But to do that, we just have to do for fruit and fruits, print the fruit. We save that, let's run it. You get apple, banana, cherry, melon, and blueberry. And you can also see if a certain element is inside the tuple. Just say an if statement, which we're going to talk about also in a later video. If the cherry in fruits, print cherries are gross. Save that and run it. We get cherries are gross because cherry is in fact inside the fruits tuple. But let's just say if we said a wild berry, say wild berries are gross. If we save that and run the code, we get nothing because wild berry is not inside the tuple. Once you get the length of a tuple, we just use like the len function like we did previously in the last video. So we can just say print len fruits, save it, run the code. We get 5 because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 elements inside that tuple. So what if you want to add an element inside of a tuple? Well, since tuples are unchangeable, that's not possible. You can't add an element. So let's say we want to add fruits, say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equals those wild berries. Then print out the fruits, save it, run. You get type because you get type error because you can't add an extra element to a tuple because it's unchangeable. And if you want to create a tuple with one element, you'd have to say fruit equals round brackets apple. But unlike the list, you're gonna have to add a comma or Python won't recognize it as a tuple. So just remember that if you're ever creating a tuple with one element in it. So just like it's impossible to create or add an element to the tuple, it's also impossible to delete a single element from the tuple. So if you just did apple, banana, and cherry, let's say fruits, let's say, and let's use the del function that we used in the last video, del fruits. Let's say we want to delete apples. Let's save it and run the code. You get error because you can't delete an element in a tuple, but you can delete the entire tuple. So if you say del fruits and then let's print out fruits and run the code, you get an error because fruits is not defined because we deleted it and Python doesn't know what it is. There's also a couple built-in functions that Python has for the tuples. So let's say if you want to know how many times an element is inside a tuple, you can use the count function. So let's print fruits.count apple. And just save it. You will get 1, but let's add apple one more time and save it. You get 2 because it shows up 2 times. You can also use the index function that comes with the tuple, which tells you where an element is inside of it. So if you say index, and let's say you want to know where cherry is inside the tuple, let's save it. It's at the second index, so it's 0, 1, 2, and if you did banana, run the code, you get 1, 0, 1. Well, thank you for watching this video, and in the next video we're going to be talking about another Python collection dictionary. So see you later.